There's so many ways to convey emotion, whether it's a shot from the ground, whether it's shooting outside instead of like in your office. All of these things, I think, convey a different feeling that you're trying to get across to the viewer. Being too limited with my creative tool set, so to speak, it I think has stifled my ability to express myself. And ultimately, that's what we're doing here, right? We're expressing ourselves. Like there's something that we want to do or an experience we want to have, and we want to convey what it feels like for us to live that experience to the viewer. And you kind of need you need to be open-minded about what like how you're willing to produce videos and to not put yourself in a box. And I think the hard part of that is like when you're doing something for the first time, it always takes forever. But eventually you kind of get better at it, and it just it can be intimidating, I think, to try new things like that. The more tools you have, I think the more complex of an idea or a feeling you're able to convey to the viewer. Today, I want to talk about indifference. Indifference is a feeling of not being motivated, perhaps numbness. It can be hard to know what you really want when you are feeling indifferent. I know myself and a lot of people I know have been dealing with this lately. And the question is, what is going on and what can we learn from this emotional information that our brain is telling us? And as always, I want to relate it back to productivity and YouTube. How are we going to be productive and creative if we don't feel like we care about anything, or at least enough to put a lot of effort into something? So let's get into it. It feels really important to me right now. I want to figure this out. So, Augie, indifference, is this something that has haunted you at all lately, or is it just me?
Yeah, no, it's haunts me all the time. I mean, come on, it's human nature. I mean, I think we all battle it. Nobody is safe from it. And even if you feel like you are a very kind of focused and motivated individual, and you are still battling it, because you could do better, So it's no matter what. I think not being motivated and not being interested in getting stuff done as a video creator, right? It's something that all video creators face, man. It's just, I've heard Nick Nimmin said it's the monkey on your back.
Yeah, it really is a monkey on your back. And it also makes me wonder, like, why do I feel this way? I theoretically know what I want, so then shouldn't I also have the motivation to pursue it? And I feel like, at least for me, what indifference tells me sometimes is that sometimes going through the motions is enough and kind of just living life one day at a time. And as that happens, time passes, things evolve, relationships evolve or even devolve, and life gets a little different. And then sometimes at the right time, you'll kind of feel a surge of motivation, or just I feel less indifferent, perhaps. Like I just, it kind of comes in waves. And I don't know if indifference is a bad thing. Like, do we always need to be productive? I think if you are trying to grow a business or a channel or something, then yeah, being as productive as possible, as often as possible, is what you want. But I don't know if that's always realistic, and I do feel indifference can help me kind of drift or float around and just kind of pursue new experiences without too much expectation. And in that sense, it's good for creativity, because it's hard to be creative if we're just always like churning things out, right? Sometimes you kind of have to recharge your battery and just live your life and experience life. And I just, that kind of floatiness of being a little bit numb, at least for me, it has led me to pursue something that like makes me feel something. And I like to think I usually do that in a positive way. I think it's really easy to be self-destructive if you're just trying to feel something, man. But yeah, that's how I have been viewing it recently. I'm curious the last time you felt indifferent, and like, would you agree with my analysis of it? Did you feel like it passed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I felt this way is currently. I'm kind of in that state too, currently, I would say. Um, and I'm trying to put things in places and change my environment and stuff like that to be more just motivated, and into what I want to do to reach my goals because I'm very goal driven. But this is not a time in my life where I'm really waking up at 6 a.m. and putting things in line and doing that. I'm just kind of staying afloat. But yeah, I mean, I think as a video creator, you will have times, like you said, that you're super motivated and you're really into everything and just surf that wave, and enjoy it. And then in the times where you're not feeling motivated, that's your creative time, right? So maybe you're not hitting record for that week at all, and you got to release a video or something, your weekly upload schedule or whatever. If you're not going to record that week, you should be, just being creative, because that's really the name of the game. I mean, these days you have to create such good content to make it that it's hard to make it on just talking to the camera, hitting record, and doing that. Like, you really need to come out with some good stuff, and the creativity part can help you. So like you said, this indifference part could be a tool. I've never looked at it that way, but that's kind of how you framed it, and I can see that.
Yeah, totally. It's I think maybe sometimes our brains are just picky. They're like, yeah, this isn't quite doing it for me. Give me something else. It's that kind of princess girlfriend who is like, yeah, I mean, that's not bad, I guess. I feel like you could do better. And and I kind of like that about it. And it does sort of suck while it's happening. And the monkey on your back analogy is great. And no, I feel what you said earlier about it's always kind of there. I feel like maybe it's a defense mechanism of, yeah, I don't even care that much anyway. Like, because if you do feel that way and things don't go how you want them to go, then you can always say, well, I never cared that much anyway. Like, I didn't really want it. And in that sense, indifference is a defense mechanism. But then it can also rob you of the enjoyment of things while it's happening if you go too far into it. So, yeah, it's man, it's quite a thing.
The whole not going to put yourself out there, or I didn't even try, like that defense mechanism is a common one, I think, for YouTubers and stuff, because you got to put yourself out there so much as a video creator. When you start putting the content out there, everyone's seeing it on social. You're going to share it on your personal, you're going to share it everywhere, and so many people do, and then it's just one video later, and they don't do it. But yeah, it puts a little bit of pressure on you. And yeah, I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but
Well, that idea of pressure is a good point. Like, when I'm numb, I don't feel much pressure to do anything because it just feels sort of like, either way, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then in that sense, pressure can be a good thing, even though it can be sort of an anxiety inducing, Maybe it's like a defense mechanism against anxiety. Like, if I don't want to feel anxious, then my brain will kind of naturally just say like, I don't care, because anxiety is really good for performance. Actually, there's a lot of scientific studies that indicate, like, if you're actually really nervous before something, it means, one, that you care a lot about it, so you're going to do everything you can to make sure it goes well. So maybe it's a presentation, you're like giving a speech, in that you'll prep a lot better for it. You'll have detailed notes, you'll practice, and then by the time the speech comes, you are ready because you were so nervous that you did what you could to prepare. But then there's like that double-edged sword too of, if you're too nervous, then you trip yourself up. Let's say you're about to film a video and you're trying to talk to the camera and you're stumbling over your words. You can't get your thoughts out, even though you did all this preparation. Like, logically you're prepared, but emotionally you almost like want it so much and you're afraid it's not going to work, that you trip yourself up. So yeah, it's
there's layers. There's definitely layers to pressure,
yeah.
and you got to find the perfect amount. Is basically what you're saying there, and I agree with that. I mean, yeah, too much pressure and you trip yourself up. You can't stand. I see it in basketball all the time. You got to find the right amount to where they give out the all-out effort, but you're not devastated at the end. And yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I think putting pressure on yourself to create videos is a good way to do it. I mean, don't go quit your job, but if you were to quit your job, you put and say, I'm going to go full time on this. That's a lot of pressure. You're probably going to be more motivated, but don't do that. Trust me, that's
Yeah.
terrible advice.
Yep.
But it just depends on where you're at with your career with YouTube, right? So Grant's
And
like,
as
wait, I
as
did
far as
that.
yeah, and as far as the quitting the job thing, that has also been a thought to me. Like, what if I just like
Mm.
said fuck it and I just dedicated all of my time to it? But I just kind of realized, like, at least these past couple years, I've had enough time to make a lot of videos. And the fact that I'm already not quite doing it as much as I want to be, that tells me that even if I had all the time in the world, I would squander it. And it's, I think, just a matter of I feel like I'm kind of building pieces of my life. So, like, I'm kind of building my social life. I'm figuring out kind of what exactly I want to focus on with my career. I'm dating. I'm like, et cetera, et cetera. Things are kind of like in the works in multiple avenues of my life. And I do feel at some point my cultivation of those aspects of my life will kind of come together and pay off. Maybe not spectacularly, but at the very least, I think I'll be feeling whole and my emotions will be balanced and I'll have a desire that I really want to act on. And that's when it'll happen. So yeah, maybe it's kind of the time of year, like we're filming this in February and it's kind of the spring is about to happen. In it like it's about to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe if you're in one of those northern latitudes, then it could be the time of year as well. Augie, you're in like central Southern California, so you is it sunny there? I It's not sunny here in Portland.
It's starting to get sunny here, and the time that I feel like I don't want to do work is definitely the summer. So once it starts to get warmer and warmer, it's more time to go outside and play. So there's when I start to lose the motivation too to create the videos and to get in front of the camera. But yeah, I mean, the whole I'm gonna just go full time and make videos all day. I still think that some days I'm like, I'm about to get into it tomorrow. I'm shooting 5 shorts and 2 long forms. But the truth of the matter is, you really got to use tactics and tools to carve out time in your day to hit the record button, to be prepared to deliver what you want to deliver. And yeah, that's the truth, right? I mean, that's if somebody came over to your house every day at 9 a.m. to just press record and set up the lights and be a videographer for you, you would do it. Just like why people hire trainers. They hire trainers because that's a locked in time that you're going to meet with them and it's going to happen. That workout is going to happen that day. So maybe that's one of the things that makes YouTube so challenging. It's you versus and I like what you said earlier too. Like there's so many little frameworks that, people are not talking about because everyone's talking about the algorithm and they're talking about retention and stuff, but they're not talking about the mental game of YouTube. I'm telling you. And to me, it's productivity. Like this episode should be the productive video creator right there. Because yeah, that's really like a major key, right? Because we all know consistency is a key, right? So consistency is huge. So, why isn't that talked about more?
Yeah, or if it is talked about, productivity that is, it's usually in the context of wake up at 5 a.m., go for a run, have your day totally scheduled. There's like a theme to it that it's beating a dead horse, in my opinion. And there is something to waking up early and exercising, of course, but I'm here to tell you, like, I spent a couple weeks waking up early and exercising like first thing in the day. I felt like I was doing everything right. Like my YouTuber morning routine was pretty solid. But I'd wake up at 7, go on an 8-mile run, and then do basically nothing the rest of the day. Like it's not like if you wake up early and you exercise or take a cold shower that you will magically just hit the ground running. What I did find is doing those things made me feel really balanced and emotionally stable and healthy. And in doing that, I feel like when opportunities come my way and I'm going through the motions, I'm more ready for them when they come. So I've kind of had this weird, I guess it's a revelation. It almost feels like an anti-revelation, but that like, meditating, exercise, what cold showers, all that stuff it works, but it doesn't necessarily work in the way that I wanted it to, which was making me into this productive machine. It just makes me a more balanced person, which in the long run changes my trajectory like 1 or 2 or 3%. And then I think living from that state of mind where you feel balanced and whole and healthy, if you zoom out, you'll see how it affects you over the weeks, in the months, in the decades, and how it actually is pointing you in the right direction, but not in that like conscious, intense way that I was hoping for and expecting. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah, yeah. Because I think no matter what, those things aren't gonna get the underlying problems of your productivity solved. But but man, you know me, I'm the basketball coach, dude. I'm a huge advocate of waking up early, and we've talked about this multiple times, I think, on the podcast over the couple years. But the waking up early is a major key. It's a major unlock for people because it just gives you more time, and we know how valuable time is. Time is money. Time is, more time to do things. Talk about mental health. Well, you got more time to do something that you enjoy doing, and to me, it's all about, health, wealth, love, happiness. Those are the four ones. So getting up and working out, that's really taking care of your health. Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of that, but it doesn't correct the underlying, like you said, you might have a great morning routine and then not do anything that day. And that's me every time I go play basketball. When I come home, I am tired. My legs hurt. I'm just trying to lay on the couch, dude. And so I do relate to that. But I do think that getting more time does help you. But the underlying problems, like why aren't you able, to hit record? Are you worried about judgment? There's so many other things that can catch you up. And like, I'll ask you, Grant, why aren't you hitting record, man? You got the skills to go and make the big dollar bills with a channel. You could make some viral hits and stuff. What is holding you back?
You know, I feel like I've made so many videos, and all of those videos fit into a certain style. Like, usually it's person talking to camera, and in order to create that video, it involves a very specific type of editing, which is, find the right piece of stock footage, find the right image, edit it in such a way that the joke hits as good as possible. There's like kind of a million little things that add up to this one type of video that I feel like I've gotten really good at creating, but I've made it so many times that I'm sick of making it, really. And I haven't figured out that next form of video for me. Like I almost don't even, the artist in me wants to say it's something that I haven't even comprehended yet, man. But kind of though, because whatever I have gotten really good at making, that face cam video or voiceover, that style, I just feel like for me it's gotten stale to produce, and I feel like maybe I am not quite in tune with myself enough to figure out the next level yet creatively. So I'm kind of focusing on my personal life right now, and kind of, as I said earlier, I'm putting the pieces together of my life and kind of building these pieces of my life. I recently moved to a new city, so I'm kind of building my support network here of friends and whoever. So it just, I feel like I'm looking at it in the long run, and I see it coming. And maybe that's an excuse to just not do it now. But I will say, mentally, I feel really good overall right now. And that's kind of the most important thing. So if I feel good, then I like to think I'm heading in the right direction. Like my intuition is overall happy with where I'm at. Therefore, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, right? Maybe.
Yeah, totally. You never know. Everyone's journey is different, right? And I know you actually enjoy the creative part of making videos, and that part of it is really what does it for you. So you have a lot more longevity, I feel like, in your video creation journey than most people do. And I love what you said about you're going to discover the next style that gets you excited. And just the idea of that gets me excited because I envision someday having some time because I do enjoy making them too, and to getting the camera out and creating some just really good stuff and stuff that I envision. And this is actually being the basketball world. I do coach high school basketball, and it is quite a show to do this whole thing. And I got this basketball training channel with this great audience of basketball lovers. I mean, it'd be so cool to figure out how to document that journey because each season is just intense. But you know, it's high school sports, kind of weird. I don't know about doing everything, but I think there's something there. You know?
Dude, here's your $1 million idea. All right, you ready?
Yes.
So you strap a bunch of cameras to you. Like you just have like a utility belt, and out of the utility belt there's just like 7 cameras all pointing in different directions. One is like a selfie stick, it's looking at you. Another is like a fisheye lens that's looking at everybody around you. One
Oh
is
yeah.
like an AI camera that is just sort of like finding faces that are talking and
Hmm.
filming them. And that's you, man. You're just this walking studio, and you you just record it all, and then you somehow you put it all together into, we'll say, a vlog, but this is going to transcend the vlog genre, obviously. It's going to really take things to new heights and document the basketball journey of your team, the feelings that are felt. It's all going to come through, man.
I like it. And you actually reminded me of this tool, I guess I'll call it. It's like a portable live streaming device. It's called the Go Box or something like that. Have you ever heard of that? You haven't? No. Okay. It's pretty niche, but it's like a little briefcase thing, but it's bigger. You know, it's just like a thing you can carry, go to conferences with and plop it down, open it up, and it's got a computer right there. And it's just the perfect live stream the mic. You can record videos right there on the go. But yeah, that's kind of what you explained in a way, kind of. But it reminded me of that. But yeah, I'm all for it, man. Just strap me up with a bunch of cameras, or just give me like a 360 cam, and just give me like a I don't know. I got some friends that love the camera stuff, and they got all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, give it all to me.
Yeah, dude. Well, I feel like we're figuring it out, and like you said, the mental game is everything, and I think it's really subtle too, because most of what we do is unconscious, in my opinion. Like Carl Jung said, like 80% of our behavior can explained by unconscious patterns. I think that says a lot, which it essentially means you only have so much control over what you do every day. In that 20% that is conscious, I think you can like use it to kind of deprogram or reprogram your unconscious, but that kind of, it takes time. Like it's not like flipping a switch, it's more like turning up a volume dial, and depending on the day it might be harder to turn that dial than others, but if you keep at it, eventually you'll metamorphosize into this new version of yourself, in my opinion, where your unconscious is now programmed differently and you react to things differently, and hopefully in a better way. So that's kind of the optimist in me speaking, the maybe the artist as well. I've kind of learned to be patient with it, because yeah, I mean, the last few videos I made, even just creative ones for me, a lot of them, like the time was spent forcing myself to work, and it was kind of excruciating. And like, I don't know if that's sustainable either. So it's, yeah, man.
Well, I will say this about YouTube. Shooting videos by yourself, it's hard to get motivated and do that. Like I said, if you can schedule a time and be disciplined and hold yourself accountable to that time once a week, that's a huge help. If you are going to shoot videos by yourself, you got to know how to do that. And it was really interesting because a video got recommended to me on my homepage from a YouTuber that I've never seen before. And this was a day or two ago, and I was like, okay. And it was something about how to shoot videos by yourself. And I clicked on it, and he was actually talking about another YouTuber who I guess has mastered this artistry of shooting videos by herself. And he was breaking it down and showing all the tricks she did. She has so many great shots just around her house and outside in her yards and stuff like that. Always just really cool artistry, lighting, and just good color grading, and just looks so good. And so I'm gonna go check her channel out. And I was trying to find it, but I'll have to find it later. But her latest video is how to shoot videos by yourself. And that's a great Google search to do if you are maybe not feeling motivated to shoot videos, or you feel scared. Like that's one thing you're uncertain about, is you want it to be creative, but you don't really know how to get shots and all that kind of stuff. You're not a pro as a videographer, because a lot of people are not. Then learn how to just, take different shots. I think that's just a good tip, to learn how to shoot by yourself and get all these different kinds of shots. And now you got the kind of the tools to be creative. And boy, you might get motivated when you go to make that video and it turns out just really special and just way beyond your expectations of what you thought creatively that you could create. Now you're motivated. Now you have the tools. So it's always just a learning game, man. I think that's a huge part of it too.
Totally. Yeah. Like having the right tools does feel huge. Like, do you remember that YouTuber who was analyzing the other YouTuber? Like, what was one thing that really stood out to you about like something you didn't know before? You felt like you learned from that video.
One thing, and this might sound, it was just a beginner tip for videography is in order to tell us like kind of story or to set up a scene, you want to capture the environment. It was a lot about B-roll. So you want to, whenever you're at a scene, you want to try to get a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close-up shot. And just really, if you get that, maybe a couple other perspectives, you can set up a shot. You can set up a scene. I mean, like, if I'm going to be talking about, how to catch this wave, we should be boom, the big old ocean, boom, cut down to, you can see somebody sitting there talking on a microphone, boom, now we're close up. That's way better than just all of a sudden now you see my face close up when we're talking, right? Just giving that storytelling, that kind of stuff was what really stood out to me in that video. So that's cool stuff, man. I love that stuff. And videography is taught on YouTube and stuff. I think there's a lot of great resources, but maybe not enough about how to be a creative YouTuber. Like that's a good topic in itself.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you can learn a lot by analyzing other YouTubers, like this person was doing, and just sort of reverse engineer it essentially. Because yeah, like just talking to a camera is very limited, but if you have three camera angles and you can kind of use each of those angles to convey a certain emotion, like you can do so much more with that. I think that's more fun. Because yeah, like the talking head videos, the billion of them that I've made, I think that is a big reason why it can feel kind of dry, is like the way you film something is everything. And I'm almost so conditioned to just like set up a tripod and talk to it that it's like I'm just sort of going by my conditioning at that point. I'm not like innovating in my way of telling stories. And yeah, in that sense, I'm kind of just creatively bored. So yeah, man, there's so much you can do, and maybe sometimes it feels overwhelming too. Of like, well, I could do anything. Like if there's not just a tripod I'm talking to, I can kind of get lost in the sauce. But that's probably my chaotic artist brain or whatever you want to call it that likes to daydream as opposed to just kind of choose something and do it.
Yeah. And I do, you're talking about talking heads, and a lot of people, if you have a business and you're, creating YouTube content because your business, you're like, I don't need to know those skills. I don't need to get creative. We're just kind of giving out education, tutorials, kind of, trying to rank for some search terms on some reviews or whatever. Well, you're only going to be able to get so far with how good your content is. I mean, imagine someday being able to kind of tell your story of your business on a day-to-day, almost like imagine a day in the life of your business. If that kind of content is way more entertaining, or even if you're just about to take your tutorial type videos and incorporate more storytelling of just your business into, the stuff that you're teaching, I think is just makes it so much better. You need story on YouTube to give you an edge, and you need those shots to give you an edge. I mean, you don't need it. I mean, there are people that just sit down and talk to the camera for sure, but it's competitive. You want to be able to stand out, and how are you going to differentiate yourself? Well, being able to get those establishing shots before you start talking, having it all spin into a story. Maybe you're educating as well through that. I love that stuff. I mean, the YouTube channel that I was talking about is Life of Riza,
Life of Riza.
Rise. You know it?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I definitely recommend How to Film Yourself and Look Cinematic. That's the video that I'd recommend you guys check out if you're listening to this right now. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge motivator for video creators, is creating a piece or a video that you're proud of. I know that feeling of when that it's excitement, it's when you go to publish it and looking at the first views, and if it does, get a little boost in views, or even, do better than that, then that's where it makes it all worth it. And I think maybe for us who always talk about these things blocking us from making the videos, it's because we're not having the eye on the prize of creating something that will make us proud. And now I'm starting to get excited right now. My creative juices are flowing a little bit. I want to go and get different shots in my house. I want to put the kids down for the nap and get that natural light coming in there, hitting me, and just sitting on the ground and just having the camera at a good angle on the ground with the good lens, and just have that great shot with great frame in the background. You know what I mean? And then I want to take that camera. I want to capture some B-roll of the area. I want to just have an easy little script, maybe 3 bullet points. different locations. I want to maybe take them outside for a second. Can we get the golden hour tonight? Yeah, probably. If I can get out there at 5 p.m., oh, that lighting's going to be perfect. I love that, man. Feel me on that?
Yeah, oh, so much so. Everything you just said, like it it's there's so many ways to convey emotion, and everything you just said was like a different way of doing it. Whether it's a shot from the ground, whether it's shooting outside instead of like in your office, um all of these things I think convey a different feeling that you're trying to get across to the viewer. And yeah, I think being too limited with my creative tool set, so to speak, it I think has stifled my ability to express myself. And ultimately, that's what we're doing here, right? We're expressing ourselves. Like there's something that we want to do or an experience we want to have, and we want to convey what it feels like for us to live that experience to the viewer. And you kind of need you need to be open-minded about what like how you're willing to produce videos and to not put yourself in a box. And I think the hard part of that is like when you're doing something for the first time, it always takes forever. It's always more complicated than you think it is. Like, getting the ground shot, you're like, oh, that looks weird. That doesn't look as cool as I thought it would. Like, what if I did this? That doesn't look. And then like, but eventually you kind of get better at it, and it just it can be intimidating, I think, to try new things like that. And so, in that sense, it can be easy to avoid. But it's also like it's so important because like the more tools you have, I think the more complex of an idea or a feeling you're able to convey to the viewer, however abstract your topic might be.
Yeah, and you just got to kind of create whatever kind of content works for you, and if you do, it's all about the journey and where you're at in the journey because you and I are pretty far along in the journey. So we're talking about stuff that's a little bit more advanced, where if you're at the beginning of the journey, then you're just looking to get 1% better with every video, make every video better than the last. And then you will start getting these kind of shots, or you'll be pushing the envelope more on that kind of stuff eventually. But yeah, like we always talk about, it's always first things first. You got to hit record.
Yeah, well, that's a good point that you just brought up. Is how far along we are. Like we're both in our 30s, and I do feel like in my 20s, I really went hard. Like I really went for it. I made lots of videos. I was a full time YouTuber. Like I really chased it, and I got a lot out of that experience. And I think now I'm so much more knowledgeable and capable than I was when I was 22. But I think I'm maybe harder to impress at this age as far as like what feels fulfilling. Like I'm more conscious about what I'm willing to put my time towards. And like, yeah, you kind of laughed a little bit because it's true. Like I think with experience, you don't necessarily have that raw energy of being 20 where you're just like I gotta do it. And like I felt like back then in my early 20s, mid 20s, I was more unhinged. Like I was just like blah, like it was like this vomit that would come out of me. And yeah, there was a lot of effort involved, and it wasn't just effortlessly vomiting. But it kind of felt that way, whereas now I just like I feel a lot more emotionally balanced. I think it almost came from a place. My creativity used to come from a place of being kind of unhinged. And as I got the experiences I wanted to have through success on YouTube and just my personal life, I think I developed more contentment. So now I'm not really able to create from that place of, we'll say,
Hunger.
lack. Yeah,
Yeah.
hunger. Yeah, I'm less hungry, and I think I'm looking for that next thing to be hungry for. But because I'm older, I'm like picky about is that worth it? Like, and it's hard to know that fine line between like what am I being jaded and when is this authentically just not something that I want to be doing. So yeah,
That's
that
fair.
has been kind of a thing as well. Just experience, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we're coming to discover is the more we kind of just talk through being a video creator and all of that, it's like there's so many hats you have to wear to make it happen. You got to be the productive video creator. You got to be the creative video creator. You got to be the hungry video creator. And I feel like these different attributes that really all come together to make you Mr. Beast, you know, to make you like, I think there was really no denying that guy. You know, I really do. I think I remember when he first started kind of getting big, or when I first started heard of him, he wasn't big, all that big yet. I looked at him like, is this guy really going to do it? I didn't see him extremely funny. I didn't see him extremely handsome. I didn't see him extremely anything. You know, I'm just like, what kind of videos are these? I guess it was probably around like saying Logan Paul's name 100,000 times or something like that. You know, like he was the hungry video creator. He was the productive video. He had all, I don't know how many elements there are, man, but he had them all, dude.
Hmm.
So I guess maybe
Yeah.
that's you're not you and my problem is maybe we don't have all the elements and that's what's holding us back, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and I am curious about Mr. Beast. I think he's like 25, 26. I want to say he's like 26 right now. I'm curious where he'll be when he's
Right.
31. Like I'm 31 right now. And definitely when I was 26, I was just kind of like going. I was just
True.
like, all
So
right,
true.
I'm on
Yeah.
my trajectory, I'm going. And I'm curious if he's always going to have this drive or if it's just going to evolve. Because yeah, he has a ton of pressure on him. He's working crazy hours all the time, and it's like, is that sustainable? And I'm kind of wondering if at some point he is also going to feel satisfied enough of like, okay, I got it. I got the success, but what does it mean? And what does success mean to me now in this new chapter of my life? Because that question can get more complicated or more simple perhaps as you get older. But yeah, I definitely there can be a feeling of like getting going through the process of creating a channel and or whatever it is, a business, getting the job you want, succeeding at it, but then you know how you feel when you have it and you're kind of like, well, what more can I really glean out of this? And then it kind of leaves you with a feeling of perhaps indifference.
They're full circle there, man. But yeah, I think to me, like 5 years straight on YouTube, not missing a single week upload, like that was good. I couldn't imagine doing 10 years. I don't know. Maybe that's I'm wrong, but I think what I'm basically on is like a 5 year break and I'd like to get back into it, whether it's basketball or online business. I love both those things so much and I've dedicated so many years of my life to those things that I'd like to do both, but I do think that a video creator's journey can be 5 years on, 5 years off, 5 years on, 5 years off. And I feel like we're seeing that. Or it's just a lot of people really recreate themselves on other platforms, you know, or other, you know, everyone's coming out with podcasts these days. That's really the best move, I feel like. And maybe we're on that same trajectory, man. This is year 2 for this podcast. Maybe we're going YouTubers. Maybe we start getting a little traction and, you know, we become, this is our second wave. Who knows? The journey's, you know, we're sitting here recording right now. So I guess we are in it in some way. And I do enjoy these podcasts. And, you know, it's a lot different than sitting by myself in a room writing a script. We're talking about the deeper inner minds of people that create online content. And that's enjoyable and fun to dive into. So, yeah, it's been good.
Yep. The mind is a fascinating, incredible, beautiful thing. And if you're feeling indifferent, then perhaps it's just kind of part of the process. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Like I said, I've been using it as an excuse to pursue new experiences, kind of see what else is out there. What do I react positively to? And it's just information, right? It's emotional information, and I I think that's a good place to leave it. Of just be with it. What is it telling you? What does it mean? As opposed to wishing that you had more fiery desire, because desire, I think, comes with its own sort of consequences, and the timing will be right if you keep moving forward, taking action, even if you don't necessarily feel like it, or it's kind of mundane action. It doesn't feel like you're actively pursuing the dream, but you know, maybe you're exercising, maybe you're meditating, maybe you're waking up early. These things just kind of keep you balanced and feeling good enough. And as time passes, it'll come together.